A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace, the greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal creator, Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is indeed a pleasure that I have to be in your company and in our company to remember our Creator. The Quran says those who remember Allah, Allah remembers them. Hadith Qudsi tells us that if you remember Allah in an audience, He mentions you in a greater audience. So we have a great privilege here of being together and elevating our level of consciousness to become Allah conscious. And as we become Allah conscious, we are transformed and our lives are changed. So we are people who choose truth over trances. We are people who choose enlightenment over superstition. We are people who choose awareness over ignorance. See? So we are people who choose to humble ourselves. We choose to know the truth about our Creator as unique and supreme. We choose to draw closer to our Creator. In our coming together today, we are taking a step towards our Creator. And our Creator takes 10 towards us. If we walk towards God, He runs towards us. See, so our gathering here for the purpose of benefiting ourselves in a way that no other discussion can benefit us is an honorable thing. We are here to recognize the truth. We are here to recognize our Creator. We are here to awaken from the state of forgetfulness, separation, disconnection. These states are states of insecurity. The Quran tells us after Adam and Eve, with their incident with Satan, where they insisted on having of the forbidden fruit, that they believed that they needed it after Satan's intervention, something that wasn't required of them, they had nothing to do with it, it didn't benefit them in any way. Allah told them, this is not good for you, stay away from it. And they thought from their own mentality, informed by Satan, and they made a decision that they regretted. And there they were insecure, and their children, after having eaten of the forbidden fruit, insecure, shame, exposed, and so on and so forth. And so the Quran mentions that after the Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, recognized the error, that where we were before and now where we are in conscious now, something doesn't feel right. We feel insecure. And the revelation or the communication in the Quran, the revelation that is the Quran, tells us about the response. That as he repented, Allah said to him, there you and your people will be, you and your children will be, until guidance comes to you. And those who receive that guidance, they will no longer be insecure. And until they receive that guidance, they will remain insecure. So you see on the planet, the state of the planet, you see people, you see people in our lives, people around us. The state of humanity is one of threatened, feeling threatened, insecure, behaving poorly. The Quran says many things about this. One is that it is Satan that threatens you with insecurity, and it is Satan that causes you to behave in ways unseemly. Get what I mean? That when human beings are lost, they have diseased hearts, and that diseased heart is what then leads to their bad behavior. And you can see people behaving selfishly, people who behave self-abandoningly. You can see people who don't respect themselves and other people, their bodies, their lives, God's good in this world and the world beyond. You can see people who fail to acknowledge God and experience peace with God. You can see people that are not into peace and what it does to them and their lives and how they behave, and so what they live and how they die and how they will be raised up again when you live in that state of insecurity. So my point is, we are here and we have the opportunity to go beyond what is termed in the Quran a loser. It's not a judgmental word. It's just a word describing somebody who fails and then has loss. You see, the Quran says about the losers, those who remain here and do not receive guidance, and they continue to live threatened, vulnerable, insecure, vulnerable, and they do not remember God. If you remember your Creator, then your Creator remembers you. If you become aware of your Creator, you'll be aware that your Creator is aware of you. You understand? If you remember your Creator, then yours will be a secured heart. Verily, it is only in the remembrance of Allah that the heart experiences security. I can tell you that personally from my own experience, confirm that for you. And the Quran says, remember Allah abundantly that you may prosper. These are the promises of Allah. This is the guidance to humanity. Allah encourages us out of the darkness into the light. He guided the Prophet out of the darkness into the light. He guides. Allah alone is the guide. There is no guide other than Allah, our Creator. See? And so if you're not aware of Allah, you won't be experiencing being guided. I can tell you personally, from my own experience, having gone from insecure to secure, from a non-believer to a believer, Allah shows me the error of my ways. He makes it clear for me to see where I'm in error. And then I can correct. I correct. I no longer, in those areas, behave as an insecure person does. And therefore I don't have an experience of lack in that area. You know what I mean? Allah guides us when we turn to Him. Whoever Allah guides, none can lead astray. And whoever Allah fails to guide or doesn't guide, none can guide. You see, so we are here, and you can either live and remain and experience loss as an insecure person. You can live as a needy person, insecure person, threatened person, vulnerable person. And you can live from there, but your thinking, your behaviors, your speech, your actions, your reactions, you have no response, proper response. You are insecure, you're lost. You'll be harming yourself, harming other people in different ways. You won't be benefiting yourself. You won't recognize the benefit that Allah is and utilize that benefit. We'll speak about that shortly. You won't recognize the benefit you can be to yourself, your body, and your life. You won't be that benefit that you can be to you, your body, and your life. You live superstitious, lost, insecure, threatened, vulnerable, unaware. You won't be the benefit that you can be to yourself in terms of Allah's good in this world and the world beyond. You won't really progress. You just have the repeating patterns go on and on and on. You won't really receive Allah's good. You won't be with other people in a contributing kind of way. You won't be a giver and a receiver with other people. If you live insecure, you lose. You lose the ability that you have to apply yourself with your Creator. You won't. The ability to apply yourself with yourself, your body, your life, halal and tayyib, you won't. People just say halal, halal, but they're not interested in tayyib, right? The ability that you have to claim Allah's good in this world and the world beyond, you won't do that. The ability that you have to relate to other human beings in a respectful manner, you won't do that. Allah says in their hearts is a disease. They are left to stray. That disease is expanded. That's a loser. You see, you're a loser when you live your life unaware that you are insecure, threatened, and behaving whispered to by Satan. Satan's whispering to you. You can't see anything about truth. You're living in falsehood. You think you are, smart because you're using your mind, but you don't know. That's not really the way to go. You don't know what submission is. You don't know that you're not the only, you and other people are not the intelligence. That there's only one intelligence. Allah alone is the one intelligence. And He has given us the ability to become aware. And Allah guides us to awareness. And He guides us to recognize. He says, look and see. Look and see. The night to sleep. And so on and so forth. The day to live. The ability to sleep is because of Allah. Allah has given us everything. He says that, most people are rendered kafuran by Satan. They can't see a thing. They are blind, deaf, dumb and blind. They live without recognition of Allah, His greatness, His graciousness, His gifting, His gifts. They're not aware of Allah's power. The Quran says that Allah created the heavens and the earth that you may recognize His power. How many people are aware of the power of Allah? Allah has gifted you human beings, delivered you from your mother's wombs, gave you hearing and sight, intellect and affect, that you may be grateful. You understand? How many people are grateful? People are just living lost. Anyway, we have that opportunity to be winners. While we are here, guidance has come to us, and we can receive that guidance. And as we receive that guidance, we can bring to Allah a purified heart. That's what we spoke about 2 weeks ago. That you can bring to Allah a purified heart. Those that are interested in bringing to Allah a purified heart, how many people says, what my purpose in life is to bring to Allah a purified heart. How many parents told you, how many teachers told you, how many gurus and pandits told you, that the only thing that is going to benefit you in the hereafter is not your wealth and your children, not your businesses and your families. It is bringing to Allah a purified heart. You know what I mean? Did anybody tell you that? That's the most important thing. Let's check on that. How's your heart? How pure is it? Did Maulana Guru purify his heart? Did Mufti Pandit purify his heart? Are they doing it? Are they telling you about it? You understand? Are you doing it? How could you do it if nobody tells you? Therefore, those who are sincere turn to Allah. As Ibrahim a.s. recognized there's no solution, he looked, his parents were telling him stuff, that's not really true. Falsehood. He realized something not right in my life, something not right in the way we're living. This is not right. You know what I mean? Something is not right. And then he sought, he was inclining to truth. He was inclining to Hanifa, inclining to truth. When you're living your life, are you just part of the madness, the spiritual madness, the spiritual insanity? Are you just part of it and just living your life like, yeah, this is it, we'll be part of it too? Or are you inclining to truth? Do you recognize something doesn't feel right in me? Something doesn't feel right in the society. Something doesn't feel right in the way people are living. I want truth. That's why I said we begin today. I said we are people who choose truth over trances. Satan puts you into a trance. He makes your ways fair seeming to you. Quran says their ways are made fair seeming to them when they're living their lives unnaturally, pervertedly. They might stand in prayer, but in their hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. They are hypocrites. They might say they believe in Allah in the last day. They might act like holy moly, all that. But they don't believe in Allah and they don't believe in the last day. They believe that they believe in Allah in the last day. They are deceiving themselves. You get what I mean? They are deceiving themselves. So the Quran tells us about this. That purify your hearts. That's the only thing that's going to matter. But the people just live their lives. The deniers, as I've been explaining to you, there's three categories of people on the unbelieving side. They are the deniers. They don't know about cleansing the heart and purifying the heart and bringing to Allah a purified heart, right? And that's what I spoke about 2 weeks ago. And last week I said about the way you live impacts your soul. Those who purify their souls, those who cleanse their souls, those who concern themselves of their soul's health, that those who are thankful for the benefit of their own souls. The Quran says, what a big thing it is to be aware of Allah and be thankful. It's a benefit of your own soul. I mean, how many people you look at today, lack, I don't have, I need more. How many grateful people, how many people you see that say, I have enough and I want more? Shukr to Allah. Or do people just live from, no, we don't have enough, worshipping Satan. So whether it is the denier, that first type of disbeliever, they're not interested in their hearts, the state of their hearts. They're not interested in purifying their hearts. They're not interested in benefiting their souls. You get what I mean? The Quran is talking about purifying your heart, benefiting your souls. They're not interested. Get what I mean? The mushriks, the second category, those who take gods that are not God. You get what I mean? Those who make gods of things and people and human beings, they are mushriks. They associate partners with God. They are polytheists. They might say they believe in God, and they might have places of worship, and they might have objects of worship and deities and so on and so forth, ideas in their mind or things in the world, but they're not really aware of our universal creator. They're not really aware of the one unique and supreme source of mankind, the one that has created us. They're not really aware of Allah, our universal creator. Allah is the word in Arabic for our universal creator. Even Christian Arabs sometimes use the word Allah because it's called God in Arabic. You know what I mean? In Arabic. There is no God but God. You know what I mean? But they don't know that there's no God. They believe in three gods and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So this is the thing, that people are not aware of the universal creator, although they may say they believe in God, although they may have some kind of ritual system and practice, although they might be into some kind of, discussions that are dogmatic around beliefs and all that sort of thing, but they're not really aware of their creator. They're still not purifying their heart. They're still not, benefiting their soul. You see, they're not. Because the winner is one who purifies their heart. The Quran says it is a book that is a healing to the diseases in the hearts of people. So here we welcome our old friends, our people who say they are Muslims, who say they believe, but they don't believe. They say, we know God as Allah. They think we know the word Allah, so that is God now. We are not mushrik. And, we have the Quran and we read it in a language we don't understand and we don't get any benefit from it. They think they are Muslims, and then they might think if I have a beard and if I, dress a certain way, I'm being like the Prophet, They might think, we pick and choose from the Quran, we'll have halal and teach the people about halal, but we don't talk anything about tayyib. They pick and choose. So then we have our people. Not my people, but the people. They say they believe, but they don't believe. They're not really getting the message of the Quran to purify their hearts. They are the munafiq. They are the hypocrites. They say they believe. They are the self-deniers. They are no different from the polytheists. They are no different from those who deny Allah and associate partners, because they're not really aware of Allah. And they're not really interested in becoming aware of Allah. They're not really interested in purifying the diseases in their hearts. They're not interested in doing that. They're not interested in bringing to Allah a purified soul. They're not interested in being a benefit to their soul. They're not really interested in Tawheed, the unique, truthful experience of Tawheed. They have no clue. They have these words, Allah, Quran, the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Islam, Dua. They have all these words, Sabr, but they have no clue of what these actually mean. I mean, they may have never learned what it means, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and the importance of A'udhu, claiming refuge with Allah from Satan, the accursed. They are not even aware that Satan is with them and that they are to be self-aware and overcome this insecurity with them. They're not even aware. They're not even aware of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We become aware of the wonderful nature of Allah, Allah the compassionate, Allah the merciful. They're not aware of Allah. They haven't gone into A'udhu, so you can't get into Bismillah. You know what I mean? You can't even go into La ilaha illallah. That there is only Allah, the one. Nothing else actually is but Allah who created the creation. They're not even aware of the difference between Allah and His creation. They are no different from the polytheists and the others, because until you have the experience of Tawheed, the oneness, Isa alayhi salam spoke of Ikhad in Aramaic, and Musa alayhi salam spoke of Ikhad, which is Aramaic, Hebrew. You understand? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran speaks of Ahad, La kul wallahu ahad, Ahad, Allah, Ahad. You see, they don't know Allah is, and that is the first, La kul wallahu ahad, Allahu samad. People read that so much, but they don't even know Kul wallahu ahad. What does that mean? They don't know the unique nature of Allah. That means they don't know that they are created beings in a created world. They don't know that when you look around you, you and your life is a creation. That we are made-up beings in a made-up world. That Allah alone, they're not aware. The Quran, I read a verse last night, I think chapter 49. It says that look around you and can you not see how Allah created the sky and put, these planets and so on and so forth, and stars and the sun, and adorned it, It's beautiful. And do you not see that there's no flaw in the sky? There's no gaps. There's no rifts. Look around you and look around you and see the flowing, seamless, perfect way that life is, in terms of the trees grow easily, the earth spins, the sun rises. There's no gap, there's no flaw. It's elegant, it works perfectly. There's no problem. Like you have a watch, sometimes your watch loses time, your watch loses time. And sometimes the battery dies. But here this earth has been spinning for millennia. God only knows how long. Doesn't lose time, and everything is perfect. The Quran says, look and see. Can you not see? Now when people live without awareness of Allah as the unique, supreme, the one immaculate, the one authority, the one power, the one who alone knows, they don't know that. Then they make this world real. They think this world is real. They don't realize it's created. They don't realize their bodies, we are created beings. They don't realize that. They don't live humbly. They don't live as aware that we did not give ourselves life as human beings. We did not create ourselves. And we did not create this environment that we're in, that we call the planet Earth. And we did not make us human exist. And we did not make the world exist. And we do not make us continue to exist. We don't make the world continue to exist. That our existence is temporary, and this world is temporary. Our existence in this world is also temporary. We will live beyond this world. But Allah alone is the permanent. You see, they live with an equating. They don't understand. When they talk of Allah, they're equating Allah to us. There's no humility. There's a feeling of entitlement. There's no awareness of us as being created beings. This is what Satan wants human beings to do, deny Allah. And deny Allah's gifts. Deny Allah's greatness, His power. When we are humble, when we choose to worship Allah, we choose to become aware of Allah. You can't worship Allah if you're not aware of Allah. You see? So people don't know what submission is to Allah. where you submit before your Creator. They don't know that it is this two-ness, that I am real, this world is real, and Allah is also somewhere in the world, and Allah is somewhere in the universe, or somewhere far away, somewhere. When you hear even Maulana Guru and Mufti Pandit speak about Allah, it's complete shirk sometimes. Absolute shirk. You ask them, where's Allah? Oh, He's somewhere, He's everywhere. There is only Allah, who created time and space and created us to exist within time and space. Allah is not a thing in time and space. Allah cannot be in the time and space creation. That's the whole thing about Tawheed. No man can, Jesus is not God, Muhammad is not God, Moses is not, God can never be a man, No, God can never be a thing, but yet they make Allah a thing. Allah is a thing. They no different from the mushriks, the associators, because they don't know the power of Allah. They don't know the qudrat, they don't know the qadar. They're not really aware of Allah, and they don't know the power of Allah. Therefore, they don't trust in Allah. They don't trust in Allah. Their own prayers don't get answered. These Mufti Pandit and Maulana Guru and all that. Their own, they don't know. Because the prayers of those who have no faith is nothing but vain prayers. Allah says, call upon me, I am near, and I will surely respond. But what do they say to people? No, if your du'as are not getting answered, don't worry, Allah knows, He'll give you in the hereafter. They're not telling them, we are not into Tawheed. We don't know Allah. We don't know His qadr. We don't know His power. We are not aware of Allah. Only those who know that Allah has power over all things, with Allah all things are possible. All things are easy for Allah. People who don't know Allah's power and they don't know Allah's privileging nature, people who are not in awe of Allah, people who are not adoring in awe of Allah's greatness, adoring Allah's graciousness, who are not appreciative of Allah's gifts, people who don't know Allah's generosity and giving, are unaware of Allah. When they pray, they can't get because they have no faith. You get what I mean? Dua, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said, is the weapon of the believer. Remember, the Quran tells us. It tells us what? When the Bedouin Arabs came, when they said, La ilaha illallah, now we are believers. The revelation came, don't say you're a believer. You're not a believer. Iman has not entered into your hearts. Rather say you are one who's submissive in religion. You're following religion. But yet Iman has not entered into your hearts. I'm not saying don't follow religion, but if you're following religion, follow it properly. Halal and tayyib. Don't pick and choose. That's like a concocted, Islamism is a concocted, it's a concocted Islamism. You know what I mean? It's not aware of Allah. There's no greatness of Allah. How many people you heard tell you about Allah and His unique nature and the difference between creation and the Creator, and guide you to Tawheed? How many times you heard your people, Maulana Guru and Mufti Pandit, actually explain Tawheed to you? If they can't explain Tawheed to you, then it's either they don't want to tell you or they don't know. And if somebody can't really explain Tawheed to you about Allah's greatness and that we can be in awe, we can revere the greatness, the power of Allah, that we can look at Allah and His privileging of us, look at Allah and His graciousness. If you try to count the favors of Allah, you can't. Did you ever hear these things from these people? I'm asking you, that you can contemplate. Did you hear about Allah, His power? Do you feel assured when you think of Allah? When you remember Allah, does your heart experience assurance? Because if your heart is not experiencing assurance, you're still in the forgotten of Allah state. You haven't remembered. You get what I mean? If you haven't remembered Allah, yours will be a depressed life. No matter how much you use the word Allah, no matter how much you read the Quran in a language you don't understand, no matter how big your beard is, no matter how much you act holy moly, you know what I mean? No matter how many lectures you hear, is not going to help you. Yours is going to be a depressed life. Your du'as are not going to be answered if you do not have iman. If you're not aware of your Creator, and if you're not close to your Creator, if you're not drawing closer to your Creator. So what have we been taught? Fear Allah. Fear Allah. Live in fear of Allah. No. There are times when the Quran speaks of khawf, that have fear. That means experience caution. Be cautious. Don't just operate willy-nilly. It'll cost you in this world through your death and beyond. Be cautious. There's been times when human beings have been cautioned. Who's cautioned? Those who are arrogant, those who deny Allah, those who don't want to hear the message of truth for humanity. Not that they must, because the Quran says, let those who believe, believe. Let those who disbelieve, let them disbelieve. So it's not like you have to receive guidance. The Quran says guidance has come. And those who receive it, you see, it's your choice. Now some people think they receive it because they're listening to people talking about religion, religious expertise. They don't realize this is the guru system from India. This is the pandit system from India, where the guru and the pandit, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody from India, including the guru and pandit from India, it's your right. You want to disbelieve, you want to live like that, live like that. It's got nothing to do with me, it's got to do with you and your Creator. But what got to do with me is to bring to Allah a purified heart. If you are interested in bringing to Allah purified, good for you. If you are interested in benefiting your own soul, good for you. Because that means you're going to be a winner here. That means you're going to live on the path. Iyaka na'budu, iyaka nasta'in. Thee alone do we worship. Thee alone do we turn to. Keep us on the straight path. The path upon whom your blessings are. That's the path I am on. My life gets better and better. How can it not? If you release superstition and you accept the truth, when you go beyond falsehood and you move into enlightenment, how can your life not get better? Your life gets better because you're no longer superstitious. Your life gets better because you're into truth about your Creator. You become aware of your Creator, and you become aware of your Creator, what He has done for you and what He is doing for you, that He alone is to be worshipped. He alone is to be turned to. But if you're not aware of Allah, the power, the privileging, Allah's provisioning for us, providing for us, you will never apply yourself correctly with Allah. Until human beings apply themselves correctly with Allah, they are losers. Because if you turn to somebody to help you, when that person is a created being, you know what I mean? Even the Prophet Isa, Jesus, in the Bible says, I of my own self can do nothing. I, by the finger of God, do these amazing deeds. He guided people to worship Allah. He worshipped Allah. It's in the Quran, Allah. They make it Eli, but it's Allah. Allah, in the Bible, Allah, from the words, that are spoken about Allah, it's in the Bible. So what I'm saying is, the prophets and the messengers, they didn't make themselves gurus and pandits. They never did. They never said, we are the ones you must turn to, listen to us, we'll give you religious expertise, do this, read this, don't do this. They guided people to Allah, Tawheed. Tawheed. You understand? You don't have Tawheed, you have nothing. The first pillar of Islam, Tawheed. You get what I mean? Humility before God, waking up from the trance of insecurity as a non-believer and to move towards a believer. You get what I mean? And so, of course your life will get better if you are no longer superstitious. So these three categories, the denier, the associate, and the hypocrite, they are essentially superstitious people. That's what they are. They don't know truth. They are lost in trances, and they're not interested in claiming the believer's refuge. They're not interested in the guidance of the Quran that says, beware Satan, be aware of Satan, an enemy avowed. Claim refuge in Allah. The first thing I must do for me and for you is to ask Allah for guidance, that we draw closer to Him, that we want truth. Wal asri innal insana fi khusr. The Quran says, by the end of the day, when it comes to the end of all things, and bottom line is, except you have faith and you have good deeds, human beings are in a loss. Except that you have faith, iman in your heart. You get what I mean? Not that you're submissive in religion and being a very good, dogmatist. No. Except that you have faith in your heart, and that you have good, honorable conduct, and you guide others to truth, and you guide others to patience. You get what I mean? That's what I'm doing here, for me, and for those of you who are courageous enough to listen to this. You know what I mean? You must be very courageous to listen to this, because most people want to follow the ways of their forefathers. It's only those that are sincere and that are inclining to truth, that follow in the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Inclining to truth. You see, who's inclining to? People don't want to incline to truth. They want to follow the ways of Islamism. You get what I mean? They'll be losers. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just saying that I'm thankful that I'm on the path of Iman, Amal, and a life tayyibun, and a blissful return. That if you have faith, and if you conduct yourself honorably, if you're a man or a woman, there is for you in this world a life tayyibun. There is for you a life tayyibun, a life wholesome, and there is a blissful return. That's what I'm all about. Iman, Amal, a life tayyibun. Iman is faith. Amal is to live as an honorable human being. Iman is live with Allah, have your first relationship with Allah. Your first relationship is with no human being. No human being. Your first relationship is with Allah. The Prophet's first relationship was with Allah. The Prophet encouraged us to be aware of Allah and have our first relationship, to depend on Allah, to rely on Allah, to see the truth about Allah. The Prophet ﷺ guided us to Allah. All prophets guided their people to the Creator, not just an idea of the Creator. A lot of people have ideas of Allah. We are talking about beyond an idea. We are talking about awareness and experiencing. When you worship Satan, you have no awareness, and there's no experiencing, there's no expression. When you have awareness of Allah, you experience security, and you express in the world very differently. You respond in the world very differently. This is why I was saying to us, on the left, there's the three fallen, unremembered states. When people haven't remembered. It's only when you remember Allah, you come right. You know what I mean? If you are feeling separate from Allah, like you don't know Allah is closer to you than your own jugular veins, you know what I mean? You don't know. Allah is closer to you than your own jugular veins. You don't even know what that means. You're not experiencing Allah being with you. And you don't have a closeness to Allah. You get what I mean? If you don't have that, then you are in the denier, the associator, the hypocrite. All three are in a human being, in a caterpillar. Religious caterpillars or anti-religious caterpillars. The atheist has beliefs about God, that God doesn't exist. And so does the hypocrite and the associator have beliefs about God. But they're not talking about the God that exists. They all three are still in the fallen state. And guidance, they haven't received it. But when you receive guidance, you become aware of Allah. And you remember your heart is assured. You're on this side, you're secure. So we can live as secure human beings. This is what I am now that I wasn't before. And it's only through my expansion of awareness, increase in experiencing. That's why I can express as a believer. That's why I can talk what I can talk. I can express with peace now. The way of peace. Islam, the way of peace. It's not the way of thinking you're right. Islam is not the way of thinking you're right. You're better than everybody else. This is right, this is wrong. Islam is not the way of that. The truth stands clear against falsehood, the Quran says. The truth needs no qualification. It doesn't say about the right things are these. These are the right things to believe. It says truth. Wake up from satanic grips of trances. Wake up and see your Creator. Wake up and experience the assurance and reassurance and have the insurance. If you believed, if you really knew that you will have what you want, you will feel assured. You will feel ensured of what you want. You'll have active faith. these three categories on the left that are the caterpillar, they are not equal to those who are on the right, which is the butterfly. The spiritual butterfly is somebody who was in the caterpillar but went through a process of learning and growing, and through that spiritual development, when the caterpillar gets into the cocoon, it goes into spiritual development. You get what I mean? And then emerges on the other side as a different human being. The Quran says they are the best of people. They contribute. They show a light to the people. They have nur. You know, when you are the caterpillar, you don't know what salam is. You don't know what sabr is. These are words. The people that are in their minds and not in their hearts, when they're in their minds, they think, I'm right, this is wrong. They haven't submitted. They're not humble. Their minds are not open. Their hearts are diseased. That diseased heart doesn't know what salam is, peace. It doesn't know what sabur is, patience. It doesn't know. It doesn't know the beautiful spiritual experience of salam, peace, compassion, love, mercy, giving, security, doesn't know anything. You get what I mean? When somebody is in the left side, when somebody is on that side of being a religious caterpillar, either anti-God or having ideas about God, which is the same thing, you know, they're not really in their spirituality. They're not really in their heart that is pure. They're not really in a soul that is being benefited. When they ask the Prophet, who is the secure, who is the mu'min, I'm talking about who is the butterfly. He says, one whom everybody is safe from. One who will never attack. One who will never steal from anybody else. Why? They know how abundant Allah is. They know Allah. They know they have Allah. They know they're in Allah's care. They experience peace. The Quran says Allah puts tranquility into the hearts of the believers and increases them in faith. How many of you know that? How many of you met people who say, yes, I feel this tranquility in me and it's being increased as my faith is being expanded? How many people ever told you that in the Quran what it mentions? I doubt. Even if it's one person, you'd be very lucky. I was going to say you'd be damned lucky. Lucky I didn't say it. You know. So what I'm saying is that you have an opportunity while you are alive to start realizing my heart is diseased. You have an opportunity while you're alive to realize my heart is diseased. Look at your life. Look at yourself. Look at your personality. Right? Look at and see. Don't worry about, oh, but I got enough money. I used my brain to become a professional and now I became a professional. I make a lot of money. Even the deniers, even the associators and the mushriks and the munafiqs, they can make a lot of money in the world. They can develop that skill and they can make a lot of money in the world. You know, the difference between these three categories and the believer is that the believer has submitted. The believer is a different person. It doesn't mean that a believer has more money or less money, but a believer can have more money. If they invoke it, they will have it. Allah is there. But just having money doesn't mean that, oh, you sorted in the world. You get what I mean? Because there are people who have ideas of God, whether God doesn't exist or God exists, ideas, but they're not in the experience of security. They're not real believers. You get what I mean? There are people on the left side, they don't know the power of God. This is the key. Until you develop yourself spiritually, you will never know the power of God. The Quran says heavens and the earth were created that you may recognize the power of God. So I'm talking to you about what the Quran is saying. I have not said anything from myself. Whatever I'm telling you is from the Quran. I haven't heard anybody tell me these things. Nobody told me to tell you these things. I don't belong in part of any cult. I asked Allah for guidance as a therapist working with people. I said, Allah, guide me, that I may be guided, that I may guide other people when they come to me for help. And Allah responds. So these people on the left, these caterpillar types, I'm not judging them. I'm not looking down upon them. I was in all three of them. They are not interested in spiritual development, cleansing their hearts, benefiting their souls. They're not really interested in Iman, Amal, a life tayyibun. They're not interested in going from how they are to how they can be. There is a potential for you, for all human beings, for me, to have our first relationship with Allah. There is that potential for us to have our first relationship with Allah. But most people don't want to have that first relationship with Allah. But that first relationship with Allah is so important because what Allah has done for us and what Allah can do for us, nobody has done for us and nobody can do for us. If we don't have that first relationship with Allah and if we don't learn to apply ourselves with Allah, then we would remain lost. You get what I mean? So it is Allah, when we praise Allah, firstly you Tawheed, you worship Allah, you presence Allah and you become aware of Allah, that you become aware of Allah and you become aware that Allah is aware of you. He created you and He's aware of you and He's encouraging you and He's championing you. You become aware of truth, you become aware of Allah and you become aware that all of us, until we submit, we are lost. Until guidance comes to us and we receive the guidance, we are lost. Allah knows that and He's compassionate, He is compassionate. Allah is compassionate. So this is the thing, that we first have to admit the truth about where we are. That we don't even know truth. We don't know Allah. We don't know what's going on here. Just keep on saying the words and doing the actions and doing it so many times is not going to cut it if you're Islamism, into Islamism. So you got to recognize, I am ailing, my heart is ailing, I'm sick spiritually. I haven't been supported in development. I haven't been supported in guidance. I haven't been supported in guidance. What I'm saying to us is that if we can become aware that we're spiritually ill, if we become aware that we're spiritually ill and be grateful that Allah has guided us, Allah knows that we are in error and that we have Him, there's a believer's refuge, that there is a refuge with Allah, that while we're spiritually ill, we can admit that we are spiritually ill. We can say we can desire spiritual development. We want to incline to truth. We want to see the lies that we believe, We want to wake up to the truth. We can actually, realize that I'm ill spiritually. Look at my life. My first relationship was with a man or a woman or money. I'm controlled by things of this world. I'm lost. I'm a slave to this world. I'm turning to an authority other than Allah. My life is not Allah-centered. It's money-centered or work-centered or spouse-centered or family-centered. A believer is centered in Allah. If you're not a believer, then you are not centered in Allah. You get what I mean? You are centered in something else. In a believer's life, Allah is first, obviously, because there's only Allah. Tawheed. The believer knows that there's no Allah, you, me, my mother, my son, my father, my child, all of us, 5 of us. No. The believer knows there's only Allah. Allah is the one. There is only one. And everything created came into existence by the will of Allah. Through the greatness and graciousness of Allah, we are human beings and we exist. And we have been lost. And Allah has guided us in spite of us being lost. He is merciful and He is kind. The believer can become aware of that. If you become aware of that look, Allah is compassionate and merciful. I'm sick spiritually. I haven't developed. I've been part of one of these 3 gangs, groups. And I'm so grateful that there is guidance. I'm so grateful that Allah is compassionate and merciful. I'm so grateful that Allah is championing me and encouraging me to awaken, to remember. I really want to remember. Don't try and change you, change your life, change your attitude. So many people who are in these categories, especially when they're living with spiritual illness, they try and change themselves. I was there. I was heavy, spiritually ill. But you don't try and change you because you can't change you. You are that way because you're not secure. Insecure people do drugs. Insecure people hurt themselves, hurt others. when you become aware of Allah and you recognize His mercy, that even though you've been astray, He guides you. Now some of us don't know Allah, and we don't want to know Allah. We don't want to know His wonderful nature. A lot of people have guilt. They don't want to own their guilt. They don't want to experience that I'm in error. They're scared that if they are in error, Allah will punish them. No, Allah will forgive you if you are sincere. If you are sincere, Allah is the compassionate, Allah is the merciful, Allah is the forgiving. You get what I mean? People are not aware of Allah. People are not aware of Allah. So they have this guilt in them, and this shame in them, and this unworthiness in them. You get what I mean? And then they try and act holier than thou. But they're still sick. Until you admit it as a humble, be humble. I'm spiritually ill. Look at my thinking. Look at I'm behaving in perverted ways. They hide it from themselves, their perversion. I didn't hide my perversion from myself. I spoke the truth about it and had regret and had remorse and had sorrow. And I said, I want to be better than this. I aspired higher. I chose auzu. You get what I mean? So a lot of these people, they won't admit they are in error because they don't want to own their guilt. But if you own your guilt, Allah will forgive you. But if you act like, no, I'm perfect, I'm doing it right, I'm right, let me control me, and I don't know why I'm this way. You are that way. That's not good for you and healthy for you and for other people, because you're spiritually insecure. You are threatened, vulnerable. Inshallah, we'll continue this next Friday of how to go from threatened, vulnerable to secured, vulnerable. I trust this has been of some value to you. Be honest about where you are. Do not shame yourself. Don't release guilt. After speaking the truth about yourself, recognize Allah is merciful. Be grateful that He is aware that you sin, and yet His guidance has been sent to us, and that He is the forgiving and compassionate. The Quran says, it is Satan who threatens your insecurity and causes you to behave in ways unseemly. It is Allah who extends His forgiveness to you and extends to you of His bounties. That means what a wonderful life awaits us beyond living as a denying, associating and hypocritic human being. When we go into a learning process and emerge on the other side and live as a secure human being, assured vulnerability, that we have Allah. Allah is sufficient for us, enough that we trust in Allah. So a lot of these people on the left, the caterpillar side, they don't trust Allah. But Allah is championing of us, they're encouraging us. They find it very hard to believe Allah is compassionate and merciful and forgive them. Satan tells them, hey, Allah will punish you, He's bad, Allah is bad. Satan will tell them that. But the Quran tells us Allah is merciful. Never despair of the mercy of your Lord. Your Lord forgives all sins. It is only a disbelieving people that despair of the mercy of Allah. Shukr to Allah. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.